Good afternoon and welcome back to the World Junior Ultimate Championships in 2018. We are live here at the Showcase Field, brought to you by Cut Camps in Waterloo. This is the bronze medal game. We are going to have France taking on Belgium. France having to play Team Canada this morning for the second time, falling to Team Canada, and then Belgium. We streamed that game. Hopefully some of you were able to see it. So exciting. Belgium going toe-to-toe with Team USA all morning long. Team USA able to surge out in the end, winning 15-13, but an absolutely exciting game. Very happy to have both these teams here on the field. It's going to be a big battle between two athletic teams. I'm Naomi Redmond. We're bringing you this stream live. I'm joined by Molly Lewis, one of my Sixers teammates as well. She was here the other night with Dave Lewis. So really happy to have you, Molly.
Thanks, Noam. It's happy to be here.
And both of us were just over at the Colombia-Canada women's semi, and that's why we're both a little bit out of breath. We both had to sprint over here. Canada falling to Colombia for the second time this tournament. So Canada will play in the bronze medal game later this afternoon, and Colombia is going to go on to the finals with Team USA tomorrow.
And a really huge upset there.
So here we have Belgium on defense, France on O. France lofting a nice throw out into space, but that's number 99, Orlovsky. Don't forget his name. He is everywhere on the field. Looking deep, doesn't like it. Nice throw out into space. Van Meulen picks that up. And now a deep shot. That's Desmarais in the end zone. That's a nice grab. Belgium is on the board.
And those are the kind of points I think we're going to see a lot from Belgium all day, all this game. All tournament, they've been really, really working the long game, and it's been working well for them.
We saw that this morning. They were a little bit slow to start against Team USA. USA took an early break, but when Belgium started shooting deep, they really started connecting, and they have some really, really tall, athletic receivers, and maybe not so tall in number 10, Desmarais, but he was scoring all the breaks for Belgium out there. He's a really strong player on their D-line, like a utility player, flipping back and forth between handling and cutting. So definitely keep your eye on him as well.
And one of the star players of Belgium, Benjamin Oort, tried to play through an injury during half of the U.S. game. Wasn't able to bring him back and is sitting for this game.
Yeah, really too bad. It was exciting to see him out there, but we spoke with him beforehand, and he really wasn't feeling great. So it's too bad to see him on the sideline, but we're glad that he was able to come out to Worlds. He's someone that we are familiar with in Toronto. He's been living in Toronto all summer, playing with the Toronto Rush as the youngest AUDL member ever, I believe. He was born in the year 2000, so he's only 18, and I don't think there's anyone younger than him playing in the AUDL. So unfortunate that he's not going to be back on the field, but definitely a strong player, and we're going to be hearing about him for a long time. So we see Belgium's zone again. It's a three-person zone, but France doing a good job to thread it through the middle. You'll see number 27 on the sideline there, Axel Roger. He's a very strong player, very good thrower, and he's been one of the reasons why France has done so well in this championship. Back with Roger on the sideline. And there's that Belgian melt. Pretty nice, a little bit looser than we've seen in the past. But we now have number 6, Courtil, looking upfield. And out into space, but it's picked off by Belgium. And now we have Desmarais looking deep. Nice mark by France there, number 99, Riard, to shut down that huck. Throw goes up. Orlovsky in the area, up against Roger. And over the top, that's number 99 with the goal. 2-0 for Belgium.
And you got to give Roger some credit there. Had a bit of a height disadvantage and still made a play on that disc. Really athletic, a big athletic play there.
Yeah, Roger, one of the captains on this team. He was also just in Cincinnati with Tchak, the French team. They did quite well, and so he's been around. I'm not sure if he would have gone back in between Cincinnati and coming to Worlds, but definitely used to playing on the world stage, used to these high-pressure games. So it's great to see him leading this French team.
Funny, we saw the Belgian zone there working pretty well. France looking pretty calm against it. And just as the melt was happening is when France turns it. I think a lot of the time we see that where the defense is kind of sloughing off and there's a bit of chaos, and that's when a lot of the turns happen. France putting out a no line here. I haven't been able to watch Belgium a lot, Naomi, but I've heard a lot about this number 99. Can you tell me a bit about him?
He's so this is the Latvian player who picked up as the community member for this Belgian team, and causing a little bit of controversy, sort of, in and around the World's community. But he checked all of the points on the WFDF ballot, and that is a big huck going into the end zone and just sails over the head of the French receiver. So we've seen Orlovsky a few times this week. I've managed to pronounce his name differently every time I've said it. But he's a really talented player. He's huge in the air. We saw him. It's really nice when he starts out in a cutting spot because he has such nice throws and really able to put the disc anywhere on the field. We saw between him and number 35, Ben Yonkers, they're really talented at throwing. They're really good scoobers and really good deep throws. So they're able to pick apart most defenses really easily. And unfortunate for Belgium, but France's defense stifles everything upfield there. So now France is going to get a chance right on the goal line. Roger picking up on the sideline. And a cheeky inside throw. That goes to 15, Beguin Demo, and that is a goal for France.
Really interesting end zone setup there. We had all players but two outside of the end zone and a two-person stack on the same side as the disc. Really trying to isolate one of the players, give a couple options. Haven't seen that in a while, that setup.
No, and it really does put quite a bit of pressure on the people that are in that isolated spot, but it also gives a lot of room on the far side of the end zone if they need sort of like a hospital pass, throwing something out into space, gives them a few more options that way.
Might be ideal with the big wind too. A lot of them are popping up anyway. Give them extra time to run them down.
That is something to note. The wind is picking up for sure, as it seems to do here in Waterloo in the afternoon. But now we're seeing something a lot more swirly than we have in the past. It's not really upwind, downwind like we've seen before from the left or the right of your screen to the other side. It's definitely more of a crosswind, and it's not really consistent. So you'll see when we flip over to the other side, the flags are kind of waving in every direction. Yonkers with the disc. And that's a throw up by Kinda, but just like we said, the wind is definitely taking a factor, and we are out of the ballpark, disc all the way close to the parking lot. So France setting up here on the sideline. Number 6, Courtil with the disc, looking towards the end zone. Not a lot of options, so he shoots it all the way, but Kinda is in the area, and he's able to knock that down.
Not sure how great a look that was. There are about 3 defenders in the area roaming around, and I think we see a lot of that from Belgium, using those deep poaches, using their strength in the air to really stifle down offenses.
So now we have number 35, Ben Yonkers, picking up the disc. Belgium's got a long way to go to the other end zone, but we've seen a lot of fun throws from Yonkers here, and that's a good example. Looking to Arthur Feller, number 58, his favorite receiver. And a big cross-field throw. There's lots of time there. Everyone jumps a little early, and it looks like there might be an injury call or a foul call of some sort.
Nope, retracted.
Retracted. It's so hard when you've got a bunch of bodies under the disc. You're not really looking at your feet, not looking at your body, and basically anything can happen. So Pigeon with the disc. Not a lot of options. French stack is very deep. Definitely taking away a deep strike for them. Far sideline, Courtil all over the disc this point. Lefebvre in the middle. And that is a low pass. Nice layout by number 2, Nicolas Pigeon, but he can't get there. Deep strike, faked off. Yonkers back in the middle. Soft inside break to Feller. Kinda a little bit too open. Calling a pick. We're going to catch up. And a big throw out to the back of the end zone, all the way to the back of the end zone. That's going to sail out of bounds. And now, too many countries. Belgium is going to have to play defense here.
And we've seen a lot of those discs kind of fly out in that corner and on that sideline. I'd love to see the teams kind of take that awareness, take it to the other side of the field a bit more.
So again, we have Courtil with the disc. Nice high grab. Throw it to the middle. Belgium having a hard time stopping this flow. It's a nice layout bid, but France is going to hang on to it. France's offense so patient here, working it back and forth on the field, both up and downwind, taking their time. And another layout D attempt, not quite there. Definitely a matchup that we're seeing here between France and Belgium, number 17 and number 42. France just about 5 yards outside the end zone now. Not a lot of options. He's going to float one out. Courtil says he has it. Feller thinks he had it first. What do you think, Molly?
Did look like a tie to me. Didn't have best perspective, but I got to say it was pretty close. Of course, tie would go to the offense here.
Mm-hmm. And I think this is one of those calls because you have to fully stop the rotation of the disc and have full control. And so I think that's the comment that number 6 on France is going to be making right now. So they are going to talk to the game advisor. I believe that is Steve Baker, and he's going to give his opinion.
It's a shame. I think if he'd gone up with one hand, he would have had it.
Mm-hmm.
Pancake just gave the defense a little too much time to get in there.
Yeah, especially when Feller was in motion. He's so quick and really cat-like reflexes in that moment, able to try and snatch it away. So it's going to go back. So number 15, that's Begwan de Mo, is going to take it back on the sideline. Stall count is going to be coming in at 6, I believe. And shoots it right away. Feller gets the D. Just in great positioning there. Feller to Yonkers, looking deep, a little bit too deep for his liking. A lot of contact on the mark there. This game is definitely going to be hotly contested, both of these teams coming off some losses in the semifinals. So I think we can expect to see, maybe a little bit more bodying, seeing what each team is going to feel out but for the other team. But I definitely think it's going to stay spirited. That one's going to float, but Yonker can get there. And that one is just going to pop up as well and float out of bounds.
It's really becoming a marathon point here. That's one of the hardest things about a bronze medal game. It's the end of the tournament. Both of you have just lost sometimes heartbreaking games in semis, and you just got to grind out this one last game. And here we're seeing these players kind of give it their all.
That is a big crossfield throw coming out. Not sure if that's what he wanted, but Kinda able to grab it, and Belgium's looking back upfield. Can see a lot of frustration from Yonkers there, throwing his arms up in the air, questioning why there aren't enough cuts. And that is a nice break throw. It's going to go into the end zone, but just a little bit too far. That is the downwind side right now. It's always changing, but in that moment, downwind, out of range.
You see France setting up in what appears to be a horizontal stack. Perhaps a split stack, actually.
Pretty interesting look from France here. You don't typically see a horizontal stack with 5 in the back and only 2 handlers. It's pretty unconventional. We don't see that a lot. We've seen that in the vertical stacks here too, with 6 people in the stack and 1 handler back. So definitely a different look, maybe a more European look. We've seen it from the Japanese teams, Colombian teams doing something very different from what we're used to in North America. But France calling a timeout here. I think that's probably a pretty good choice. It's been definitely a marathon point. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen next, Molly?
I'd love to see that offense we just saw set up play out. We've got the 2 people on either sideline and 1 isolated in the middle. I imagine looking for the isolated cutter and then a continue off the back. And I'd love to see how that works. France has had some really nice hucks. They haven't really worked out in their favor, but I'd like to see one of them work out here.
Yeah, I agree. And I wouldn't be surprised if Belgium uses this timeout to organize their zone. The disc is pretty close to the sideline, and they have this containment zone that kind of pushes things to the sideline really nicely. It's a 3-person cup with 1 person sitting deep and 3 people guarding the middle. And it's been working really well for them this tournament, causing a lot of confusion. And especially if France is to set up in that split horizontal-ish look right now, I think it would really make things different.
We definitely saw their zone working earlier on in the game. There just hasn't really been much of a chance for them to set it up, so I would also love to see that. Looks like we might be match D here.
I always try to be psychic and call the right thing. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
Can't win them all.
Can't win them all. But we have Ben Yonkers on the disc. That's going to be a big mark. VL on the sideline. Out to the middle. That's Courtil. France doing a good job of moving the disc there. They have an open strike, but not quite right. That's Warnesson on the sideline. France really needs to think about getting it off this low side sideline here. It's challenging to work it up, and sometimes you get a running Arthur Feller at you, but it's going to be much easier for them to work up the field from that far sideline. Pigeon with a disc. Back to Courtil.
Courtil really putting in work for this French O-line right now.
Yeah, absolutely. We've heard a lot more about Roger, but it seems to me that Courtil is maybe one of the biggest pieces in this French offense right now. Pigeon, not a lot of options.
French cutter's just so tired.
Yeah, you can definitely see how long this point has been going on for. And that is, I believe, number 15, Beguin Demo, sticks the landing, keeps his toes in, and that's a goal for France.
Oh, and that had to feel good for France. I can't imagine you working any harder for a hold right there.
And that's what you talk about, some of those long points. It can be so devastating when you can't score and when it goes back and forth that many times. I'm glad you remembered who started on O because I fully forgot. But I guess Belgium has broken twice now, if that's right. Broken once, scored, held once.
Yeah, I think I had it in my mind. Oh. Then it was an even better break by France.
Oh, there we
even
go.
Even better.
You know,
oh, man, that's even better. That's honestly,
better.
that D-line grinding. You know, a lot of D-lines, that's what they pride themselves on, is grinding out through those crazy, crazy long points, generating those turns.
Absolutely. And for those of you at home, Molly and I play on the D-line together. Sometimes you're not thinking about strategy that much. You're just thinking about keeping your legs going, fighting through it. And so, you know, we leave the strategy to the offensive line. Sometimes. We do play a lot of O as well. Yeah.
And Gnomes, you know, such a close game against the USA with Belgium. And what a comeback story, you know, just like the underdog in that game. How do you bounce back from being so close to taking down such a powerhouse and then losing right at the end?
You know, I think honestly you have to think about the fact that I don't think they expected to be in the semifinals. I don't think they expected to go head-to-head with the U.S. and hang on to that game for so long, right up until 13s. So I think kudos to this Belgian team. They're really showing their stripes right now and showing that they can run with the best. It's just going to be a matter if they can keep it together mentally at this point. But we see them with a lot of great movement here, really patient. And maybe I should eat my words. Just a shot a little bit too high into the end zone. So now France is going to get another chance. And knocked away. I was approached by some of the Belgian players after their game against the U.S. They let me know because I called their game yesterday, their quarterfinal game against New Zealand. And they let me know that I wasn't charismatic enough when they scored their Callahans. So my apologies to the Belgian team. I was very, very excited for those goals. I'm very excited to see them on the field.
Everyone's
here.
a critic here.
I know. I mean, I don't know who let me get up into this booth. It's been talking way too much this week.
Brain's mush at this point.
But that one's going to go out of bounds.
And again, we see it on that sideline. That sideline in that corner, really, really tough to keep it in bounds. The wind's really pushing it out.
Yeah, and keeping it on that sideline, that same lane, Huck on the sideline that the wind is blowing out on, that's hard. That's a really hard throw. You have to put a lot behind it for that to work. So I think we'll see some calibration from both teams here. I think France might have gotten a bit of a hand on that throw. But number 16, Belgium, Labazuski, able to pick it up. And that is another interesting choice, but Desmarais runs it down. Unfortunately, just pops out of his hands.
So much concentration to catch it and keep yourself in bounds. It's a tough go there.
Especially when it's fading away from the side you were running. And a collision here. Number 29 on France. Poiriel just didn't see Labazuski there. And I think we're going to have a violation call. Players started running a little bit before the Belgium defense was set, so it's going to go back to the cone. Another inside shot, and that's a lot of contact. Attempt at the layout catch block. There's not going to be a contest, so France is going to hang on to it. Pigeon looking upfield. Again, looking down that same lane, Huck. Pigeon makes the great choice to swing it to the middle. And a layout block. Desmarais, incredible layout D there.
Fully horizontal. He wanted that one.
And we were definitely talking about him in the last game. There's a lot of big star name players on this team, and maybe he isn't getting enough recognition as he deserves because he has been so critical for this Belgian defensive line when they go on 0.
And, that's a really underrated and super crucial role to have on a D-line. Someone who can get your offense started when you get that turn and convert it like they just did.
That is such a nice throw, going downwind, floats out perfectly into space. It's number 9, Orlovsky, with the assist for Belgium.
I believe France is calling a timeout.
And this is one of those things where it really feels like these teams are evenly matched. I kind of felt when I was watching Belgium and the U.S., I went into it just thinking, I've watched the U.S. quite a bit, and they're a very talented team and always really talented, and Belgium kind of stunned us with such a fantastic performance. But watching these two teams, they've had sort of a similar record. I haven't checked the stats because I was too emotionally invested in the semifinal over on the women's side, but I know both teams are kind of came in at the middle of the pack and were making a sort of a surprising attack at the semifinals, and definitely a bit of a surprise to see Belgium hang so tight with the U.S. So interesting look here. I feel like these teams are very similar in matchups, but very different in style. We're seeing a lot more movement from France back and forth, whereas Belgium is taking some more shots. So it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of this game matches up, if we see more zone in the wind or more person defense.
Yeah, France had a really, really great game in pool play against Canada, also a huge powerhouse. Really gave them a run for their money, took half 8-5, I believe, and Canada was able to take it in the end. But France also showing they've got a lot of heart, a lot of talent. Typically European teams do pretty well, but not, don't push near the end. And it's great to see, Belgium and France and other women's teams as well really pushing near the end there.
And notably, France, they played the Canadian men's team this morning, but we saw them play Canada a few days ago and really stunned Canada there. They took half 8-5, and kind of it went back and forth from there. A team definitely capable of going on a run here, so we'll see what happens. But Belgium putting on a zone.
And I'm happy to see it. Their zone was working. I'm happy they're back to it. I'd like to see what kind of handler movement France can generate.
And that's the transition quickly into person defense. It's really smooth. You don't even see it happening. But there's a few switches going on right here. We've got number 42 all alone.
And those kind of switches, those are what can happen when you have a team that's played together for quite a while. Smaller country can practice more, can read each other better, have better chemistry.
So it's Riard, inside flick, out to the front of the end zone. And another inside flick, just a little bit behind his receiver. That's a tough throw. So we're going to have a French turnover, and Belgium is going to pick up here on the sideline. And that's a big throw by 99 Orlovsky. And just boxed out all the way down. That is textbook Labaszewski with a goal.
And that throw was just unreal. We've seen a couple throws going on the downwind side, and the wind has changed a bit, but what a throw. We've seen them duck. We've seen them keep going, just floated right to where that receiver needed to be.
And if anyone was watching at home, number 99 just put his sixes up. I think a shout out to the Sixers in the booth, whether he knows it or not. And while we're up here, I guess we should mention Toronto Sixers are actually facing off against the Eurostars on Saturday night in Toronto. Some of these European teams are pretty familiar with the Eurostars. They're traveling in Toronto. They didn't make it to Canada last year, so we're really excited to host them. So anyone, within driving distance of Toronto, if you can make it up there or down there, over there, Saturday night, we would love to have you.
And Eurostars has really shocked a lot of people watching. They beat world champions Riot.
Yeah, that game was pretty crazy. I got to watch it. I again don't think anyone really expected it, but the Eurostars were clearly the better team in that game, and it was so exciting. And we love being able to watch women's ultimate on screen, and to be able to stream it from home is super fun. That is a big pull. Belgium able to put up these huge pulls all week. It's really separated them from a lot of other teams, getting to, especially in the wind, putting out those huge pulls. And another layout D attempt, Kinda just out of the hands, but Roger puts up that huge throw, and Labaszewski, that's 2 in that end zone for him right there. 1 goal, 1 D. That's a great defensive play.
And he was a bit out of position, but made up for it in his ability to be tall. Really made a difference there.
And Belgium has a lot of really tall players, but they're also really solid. We were talking about that before. Compared to some of the other teams, they're not. They've clearly been hitting the gym, working hard to get here. They knew that they had a chance in this tournament.
Yeah, a lot of tall teams, maybe not often so athletic, and we are seeing them just hit the turf over and over again.
France putting up some switching defense themselves. Desmarais floats one out into space, and that is too high. But it looks like maybe a little body contact. Orlovsky feels like maybe he got pushed, wasn't able to hang on to things.
I think they're just talking it out here. I believe 99 feels that he was impeded from catching it, although, I don't know, Gnomes. Did you see? I don't know if he had a shot at it. It was pretty high up.
I mean, I've seen him make some pretty wild grabs so far, but I think that one was probably a little bit out of hand. It was very high and looked like it was going to float possibly out of bounds. So I think that that was probably just really good body position from France and able to beat 99 to the spot, so good on him.
We're also lucky to have some game advisors here, able to help them talk it out. I know with a lot of people, there's a lot of the teams here, there's some language barriers. We've got the game advisors there to help them mediate.
Game advisor is also great for helping speed along any conversations. They encourage things to move quickly, but they can't make any official calls, so they can only, as their name suggests, give advice, and then the teams will have to talk it out themselves. So that looks like it's going to be a contested foul. So disc is going to go back to number 10, Desmarais, and the stall count is going to go back to what it was when he threw it, or as high, looks like when he threw it, so that's going to be stall 2. And a big layout D. Number 6, Courtil, all over both sides of the disc. That's a great defensive bid. Labazuski never had a chance to track down the Mac. Roger breaks to the middle. Big undercut. Number 1, Chopin. And that is rifled into the end zone. It's going to go out of bounds. It's a nice bid attempt by France, but it's a little bit too far.
And Belgium, playing match defense, but really poaching into the open lanes and into the deep lanes, really stifling a lot of the cuts that France is used to getting.
So we're going to have Orlovsky's picking up on the front cone. It's a pretty tough place to pick it up. We see with the wind, there's a crosswind pushing it towards where he's standing right now. So that's going to make it difficult. France with a lot of poach D on the under. So Orlovsky's just goes to the bank. And that is a nice grab. Number 16, that's his third huge grab of the game.
And again, we just see the craziest throws coming up from Belgium.
Yeah, the amount of maturity and elite throwing skill that it takes to put up a throw like that, keep it in bounds against the wind, and get around a mark. That was a break side throw too, folks. So totally bananas, as I was saying before. That's just an incredible throw.
And what's even crazier is there are some players at this U20 tournament that have experience playing open and women. They have, are around a lot of elite players, around a lot of elite coaching. A lot of these Belgian players and French players do not have that kind of experience. A few do, but not as many as we're used to seeing in other teams. So that kind of maturity that you're talking about is almost even more impressive to see there.
So we're going to have Desmarais with a pull, looking down at the French offensive line. That is going to hit the back of the end zone and roll out. Belgium with that zone 3-person set. Trapping on the sideline. Nice throw by Chopin. We have Roger now looking for options. Little lefty into the middle. France, that's a nice break through the cup. Playing a lot of small ball here. Belgium out to person defense. Out to the sideline, that's 42. Pouple, Roger. Belgium doing a good job of sticking a poach in the open side lane and really slowing things down for France. That is an inside throw that's caught right on the end zone line. Champlain with the disc puts out a lefty upside down, something or another. It's not going to work.
And what a shame after such a beautiful cross-field throw there.
And a great grab as well. I think he had a little bit more time than he gave himself credit for. He probably could have taken a couple more stalls to make the right choice, but looks like Belgium unable to complete a swing pass. So France really lucky here. That's going to be a goal. Past a laying out Desmarais. Brunet dials it in, makes the grab.
That had to feel good for France. You know, Belgium coming up 4-2. France really getting close, you know. They've had a really... 5-3.
We're doing our best in here.
France having some really great shots there. You know, as you said, Belgium had that poach in the lane. They've been having a poach deep. Really almost sandwiching the stack, the French stack. And the French handler is doing a really good job about moving it and exposing those poaches.
And credit to number 16 on Belgium, Labazuski. He's definitely been playing well all week. I've seen him play a few times now, but I think this is his breakout game. And what a time to have it. He's been ruling the skies, gotten so many Ds, so many nice Ds and goals in the end zone there. So definitely high five to that guy.
On the live stream, perfect timing.
So disc into the end zone. France is going to have time to come down in a zone of their own. I've actually seen more three-person zones this week here in Waterloo than I think I've ever seen. I'm more used to seeing different zone looks, usually 4 people in some sort of variation. And so it's interesting to see this younger generation using so many three-person zones. Belgium doing a good job moving it side to side. Really using their full 10 stalls for every throw. French defense pushing Belgium back all the way into their end zone.
And, you know, this cup not concerned with getting the block, just concerned with slowing down the throwers, and they've done an amazing job of it.
And that's a nice grab by Kinda. Saved this Belgian offense a few times today. One of the things that France was doing really well against the Belgian version of the zone was moving quickly. Belgium really taking their time, letting the zone set, and perhaps making things a little bit more difficult for themselves.
And I really like this zone look. You know, they were getting beat a lot on the deep throws, France was. And I think this 3-person zone is a great way to stifle that a bit.
And the wind is blowing right now. We can really feel it up in the booth. I'm starting to get a little chilly. Might get a long sleeve during halftime. And that throw is the last throw from Feller, shut down by Delamotte.
Oh, and you got to feel like they deserve that.
Absolutely, and I think a great call to call a timeout here. France kind of round about the brick mark looking towards the end zone. They have a chance to organize themselves. They're not going to be trapped on the sideline, anything like that. It's just going to be a chance for them to set up their end zone properly and really settle down.
And again, as we've seen, quite a few throws that we've been seeing going up have been near this sideline, going out this side. So I'd love to see something that gets it to the far side. Makes that deep throw a little more of a viable cut. for France, I believe, starting on D this point. Coming down with that zone, this would be a pretty huge break for them, really get them back into this game. Beauquin de Meaux picking it up.
So we see that sort of side stack with the central isolated player again from France. It's looking a little hectic in the middle, a lot of bodies, but they're into a vertical stack now in the end zone. That's nice. They're going to put it out into space, out on the open side, and that's a goal for France.
And that really, really was earned by their zone D. You know, I really like that look. We were seeing some person that maybe wasn't working so well for France. Belgium really able to cut through their defenders, and they weren't ever able to generate those turns that they need. And that passive zone really working well in this wind. Really forcing the throwers take their time, cutting off the first look. And, you know, a stall 8 throw is a win, I think, for that cup, and they had quite a few of those.
And we were just having a quick chat up here. So the score right now is 5 for Belgium, 4 for France. And we are almost at the 55-minute mark, so we might hit a timed half. We're 8 minutes away. So that means that if neither team can get to 8 in the next 8 minutes, we're going to hit a timed half here. So I think that speaks to how some of these points have been a little bit longer, a little bit messier than some of the things that we've seen. And so both teams really fighting for every disc. So Belgium's going to pick up on O. We have Yonkers on the sideline, looking up at that 3-person zone. Getting pushed back all the way into their end zone. A lot of pressure here. Not a lot of movement from the downfield. The 3 cutters are really tight to the disc, not giving a deep option. We are at the back line of the end zone. Tension is so high right now. Yonkers calling for something, and that's a nice shot right over the top to Feller. Still on the sideline, but a little bit more comfortable than at your back end zone line. It's a nice throw out into space, and unfortunately Fuller just can't quite track it into his hand, so eventually that French zone is going to be successful. Out into the middle. Nice grab. Bobbled but caught. Chopin looking to the middle. Very sneaky inside backhand. France doing an excellent job of moving back and forth. Number 11, Brunet, not a lot of coverage on him in this point, but that is a huge layout attempt. Poiriel calling it a foul. Kinda chest high there. That was a huge layout bid.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. That was, that looked all disc to me.
And one of those things that's a rule discrepancy between WFDF and USAU. I think in USAU that would be absolutely no chance at a foul. But WFDF holding any sort of contact in very high regard. So it doesn't matter if the contact happens before or after. That's going to be a foul. So it's going to be a contested foul going back to the thrower.
And we've been seeing France really utilizing those unders. They have Belgium really using help defense in the back lanes, and France utilizing that open player coming under.
Mm-hmm. So France 5 yards outside of the end zone. Chopin going every other. Inside flick, layout deflected, and it's still caught.
And that ties it up.
We're at 5-5, so like we said, halftime still seems pretty far away. Still got another 5 minutes or so before halftime hits.
And that French zone really giving the Belgians something to think about here. Really slowing them down. They were in that corner, their back corner, for quite a few throws, and I think even after recovering, still pinched to the close sideline. So really making it difficult to generate that movement that we were seeing early on in the game.
Yeah, and at the same time, good work on Belgium being able to move it out the back of their end zone. I was feeling really stressed out looking at that back line. They were close, but able to open things up with a nice over-the-top blading flick from Yonkers, and then they were out of it a little bit, but unfortunately still keeping it close to the sideline, making it tough. There's not a lot of margin for error here. And that is going to land inbounds. So Belgium is going to have to pick it up on the sideline right around the front corner of their end zone. Looking up at that zone again, but a nice break into the middle. Yonkers now all alone. No longer alone. Lots of faking. Belgium using a really good job of their faking and their pivoting to open up throws all across the field.
France taking away every option with this trap they're setting on the sideline. No up the line, no reset. Ended up getting it off, but that was stall 9 throw, I'd say.
France working so hard here, containing as they get further away from the sideline. Looks like they get a little bit looser and play more person defense on the reset handlers, but when they're here on the sideline, it is so tight. A nice bid, but that opens up a ton of room on the far sideline. That's Orlovsky into the end zone, a layout grab. And that's tough work, but that is a nice grab. And if I'm not mistaken, that is 16 again, Labazuski.
And again, on those crossfield hucks from this side, we're really seeing them turn over. Luckily in there were 2 players there, and I think that Belgium's really adjusting to how their throws are coming out, really anticipating it a bit better.
And I guess that is one positive coming out from them using the 10 yards or so off the sideline. It's leaving a ton of space on the far side of the field. So when they have a bit of an errant throw, and throws seem to be fading over to the far side of the field from us, there's tons of space for someone to run onto it.
Credit to that French zone, though. They really, really had that moving, that disc moving in the backfield for quite a few passes.
Mm-hmm.
And Belgium didn't really have anything. It didn't look like they had much upfield. You know, they had maybe a couple backfield passes that were a bit open, but really, really working on that mark and working on that dump reset.
So Belgium with a pull. So it goes out the back. Roger to pick it up at the front line. France in their end zone. It's a smothering mark, but a little bit of a collision between Roger and number 42, Vandenbroek.
And the halftime cap is on, so we will play out this point. Halftime will proceed after.
And Orlovsky is setting up an under poach there, but leaving someone deep. Not sure if they're going to see him and throw to him. Chopin on the under. He's on the far sideline. Nice grab.
I think that that under poach is a bit more viable when France is going down or upwind. That long throw is going to be a little bit more difficult, more challenging.
Belgium putting on so much pressure here. That's a couple of layout attempts, unsuccessful. This one is out into space. Kinda has position, able to run onto it. And that's a catch block, so he's going to take it up at the front cone.
And Kinda just all over that backfield, defending that end zone, doing such a good job of making up any slack his teammates let go.
And too bad, that's going to go out of bounds. It's going to go back basically to where it came, where the throw came up, I believe. Not sure if Orlovsky's was able to get a hand on it. It looks like he did, so it's going to go. So Roger out to the middle. That's Chopin. Throws up something, lofting. Nice second attempt. That's, I believe, Jacques Nisson. That's a big floating pass, but it's going to leave tons of room. That's a lot of traffic in just a few yards. A little bit of too much confusion from the French end zone there. Not sure what their set end zone looked like, but I'm pretty sure that's not it.
Oh, a lot of chaos there, a lot of collapsing in on the disc, and in the end zone, that's even more difficult than on the field.
Yeah, it's quite tough sometimes when you see that much chaos and a handler looking at a few different options all at once. It can confuse everyone, and everyone feels like they need to get involved, and I kind of feel like that's what happened there. But a nice block. It was kind of a Hail Mary pass off the front cone. We've seen it so hard to throw from that front cone. So nice block from Roger. He's going to put one out, paint the line, and that is a goal for France.
Number 27, Roger, just putting it to where Orlovsky could not reach it. He had no play on that. His cutter made an amazing cut, was open, and he put it where it could not be defended. So we're tied at 6s here.
And I believe little foggy on the rules here, but it's going to be the next team to score that's going to take us to half, because you can't go into a halftime when it's tied, I believe. So we're going to have France to pull, probably going to set up in that zone, try and push Belgium as far back into their end zone as they can. Pull is going to come crashing down. And there it is. We have Pigeon on the mark. Number 17, that's Warnesson in the area, and also number 23, Liliev. Oh, and just enough of it. Pigeon with the Phantom D maybe got a little piece, but it's going to go out of the hands.
Even if he didn't, psyched out the player enough and made him lose concentration on that disc, and this wind, it's going to pop up like that.
So inside, drop, squat, flick. France with a quick break. And they're going to take half 7-6 over Belgium.
And a really, really great first half from France. That zone that they put on, really slowing Belgium down, really taking away what they're good at, which is the deep, which is the long throws, and really looking good.
Yeah, definitely. Both teams looking really strong here, especially France, adding a little bit more defensive pressure than we're seeing from Belgium. So we'll see what happens in the second half, see what the coaches bring to the table during this halftime. But we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in 5. Welcome back. We are at the second half of the bronze medal game. We are tight game here in between France and Belgium. We are in Waterloo on the showcase field at Rim Park, brought to you by Cut Camps. So thanks everyone for tuning in. We have a pretty tight game here. Molly, do you want to talk a little bit about what happened in the first half?
In the first half, we were really seeing Belgium use their strength, which is going deep, and their impressive athleticism to really push that French team. You know, they were kind of owning them on the unders, owning them on the deeps, and France was putting up a good fight, but we could see Belgium really had a chance to pull away, and then France pulled out this zone that has just really, really done well against the Belgians, really taken away that deep zone, hasn't made it a viable option, made their handlers work a bit more, and it's resulted in some turns, and France up one now.
So Belgium coming up on O in the second half, set up in they were prepared for this French zone. Orlovsky's in the middle. It's definitely double teamed a little bit there. Yonkers in the middle. Nice movement. A round shot to Feller. He's on the sideline. And interesting, this French zone isn't trapping on both sidelines. They're only trapping on the sideline closer to us. It might be advantageous to them if they were to make that switch. It would make it a lot more difficult. We see a little bit of a switch in the Belgian offense. They've brought back a fourth handler to combat this zone. So now we see Dutoit at the back as well. That's number 5, along with Yonkers, Mahieu, and Orlovsky's, sometimes Feller. But France still holding the zone. That is a nice throw, lofting to the sideline. 99 toes it. Cheeky throw through the middle. Mahieu fakes the hammer, throws the hammer. Oh, and laying out, unfortunately, just a little bit too far. Kind of the downwind corner up there.
That was just tough to see. You know, Belgium coming into the half, really knowing how they're going to break through this French zone, doing a really good job. They had 4 handlers back, and Feller kind of roaming in the middle, popping through, and just on the end zone line. Maybe a little bit rushed.
Yeah, that's too bad. The player in that corner of the end zone definitely open, but
Absolutely.
That hammer throw, it's tough. That crossfield hammer into the downwind side, it's going to get pushed into the ground. Nice dig, but unfortunately that layout isn't going to connect. A big huck going up, a lot of red underneath the area, and almost picked up by France. Nice throw out into space. Yonkers really looking deep, but doesn't have any options. Nice continuation cut. Scuber into the middle. That's the Scuber that totally shredded New Zealand's zone yesterday. It was so impressive. This Belgian offense able to throw a Scuber like that in the wind. We saw it a little bit less against Team USA. They didn't have as many options when they were playing going against person defense, but the Scuber is pretty wild. Yonkers threads the needle, a layout attempt, but somehow Orlovsky comes up with it. And a layout catch block, unfortunate. Belgium just didn't see Courtil in the area. France on the sideline. Courtsil really working so hard in this game.
And Belgium, just their main players looking so tired. Having trouble keeping up on D there. After doing so well coming out of the half, had some great zone O. Moved it all the way up the field and just on that turn, not able to keep up with the French offense.
Yeah, we spoke about it a little bit earlier. Some of these teams here traveling all the way from Europe and elsewhere overseas. It's a long way to go, and some of these teams bringing pretty small rosters, and it puts a lot of pressure on these top-line players. They're having to play every point, basically. We saw, especially with Belgium, they had such a tough game right before this, and some of their top players not really getting any sort of break at all, playing every single point, maybe getting 1 point off per half if they were lucky. So that was it is a lot of pressure on these young players.
Absolutely, and they as we were talking about before, they really have trained for this and they've worked for this. But bronze medal game, it's really, really tough. You got to bounce back from a hard loss. You've been playing an entire tournament. It's so close to being done. The end is in sight. You just got to push for 30 more minutes and it's all over. And what a whirlwind it's been, Naomi.
Absolutely. I've been here since Saturday, spending a lot of time up here commentating games, and I honestly feel like I forget what real life is. It's been, it's been so long, and I've seen so many different things. I've seen so many ups and downs for different teams. This has been one of the coolest experiences I've ever had. I've never really been a part of a Worlds like this. I started playing Ultimate right before I was in this age group, and I did try out for U20s for Team Canada back when I was 19. Didn't make it. I was pretty trash, but it's such a great experience, and seeing these young players able to travel. I'm so excited that they get to come to Canada and see a little bit about what we're like here, and hopefully some of them get to stick around and see more parts. There's Waterloo is really great, but there is a lot more to Canada than just Waterloo. So really excited to have them here. So interesting to have a World's experience in my backyard, and really thankful for the opportunity that we've been given.
Absolutely. France right now on a 3-point run, really carrying that momentum from before the half into this one. We'll see if they can make it 4.
So again, that pull's going to roll out of bounds. Seems to be happening a lot on that far sideline. So Belgium is going to be able to take it up to the front cone, but they're going to be looking at that nasty French zone here.
This is downwind. Nope, this is upwind. I'd like to see it's kind of a crosswind. I'd really love to see Belgium put it up more. That's kind of what was working for them before, and this handler movement, they're having trouble doing a lot of small passes. I'd love to kind of see them contest that deep a little more.
It's a big shot. An unfortunate drop. That's so tough. And just like Molly was saying, thinking about putting up a huck there, at least getting it out of your own end zone. We've talked about the huck and pin a few times this week now. It's not pretty, but sometimes it can get the job done. So France right on the goal line. And that is a goal for France. Belgium just looking exhausted out there. They've been working so hard. And France just really able to convert. That was really nice, just punishing that drop and able to put it in. So good on France for converting.
That zone, that French zone, is just doing such a good job of taking away what Belgium wants and making even that reset in the end zone just challenging enough that they're taking risky shots like we just saw and ending it and turning it. You know, we saw France in the first half really losing their momentum a bit, or Belgium really seemed to be going on a run, and then France changed up their defense, and it's really done them good. And I'd love to see something similar from Belgium, maybe a different offense or get some different players in there, really change it up and start giving France a little more run for their money.
Yeah, and we've seen this in the past. We've seen Belgium. They scored, I believe, 3 breaks in a row on Team USA. So, you know, we know that they can go for those runs. We know that they have it in them. They've got some huge throws. It's just if they have the legs to close out this game. So France putting on that zone. Yonkers looking deep, doesn't have anyone. We now have Orlovsky hanging out a little bit further deep.
An interesting zone setup for offense for Belgium. They've got 3 in the middle and 2 handlers back and 1 on the side. Not very typical.
An uncharacteristic drop, but he's going to call a foul, saying that a little bit of arm-to-arm contact is going to prevent him from catching. So that is going to be an uncontested foul.
Seems to be a bit of discussion.
Yeah, it's interesting. Looked like the hand signal went up really quickly that it was going to be an uncontested foul. But good to see. Stall count will come in on 0. Nice throw all the way across. There's that Scuber opening up tons of space.
Yonker is really using his height there. Get over that cup.
That is a layout D, flying layout D. Number 17, Varnasson has been critical in this French zone. And so now France looking towards the end zone again for their 3rd break in a row. Not a lot of options. That's some great defense from Belgium. And so close, but France still on the doorstep. Stack looking very stagnant. Everyone on the field is exhausted right now. But eventually, that's Varnasson comes up with it, finds his legs, and that is 10 for France, 6 for Belgium.
And Gnomes, that is the 5th point France has scored in a row. You know, we're not seeing a ton of energy from Belgium right now. Their passes are okay. I'm seeing some great execution, but I think just as you were saying, the energy just it's been a grind right now, and I think we're seeing how much of a toll it's taken on these players' bodies.
Yeah, for sure. And we saw some really great plays at the beginning of the game, particularly number 16, Labazuski, rising above everyone else on the field, literally and figuratively, able to come up with some huge grabs. And I'd like to see something like that again. I know probably not a great suggestion for teams to put up difficult throws, 50-50 shots, but something to get this team fired up, get something going, light a fire under them, because I don't like seeing them walking down the field with their heads down. I don't like seeing that with any team. So much of Ultimate is mental strength and playing with your heart, playing with grit, and we need to see a little bit more of that from Belgium right now. On the flip side, France suffocating this team with their legs, with their hearts, just really running that zone into the ground and stopping everything that Belgium has upfield.
And here it looks like we've got a bit of a change of personnel. Change of personnel in the back, but still a bit of a drop. Heartbreaking right on the French end zone line.
So that's Chopin with the disc. Inside shot. It's going to float for days. And that is another break for France. They're at 11, Belgium 6. And we can see some of the women's teams warming up on the sideline here. Coming up next at 3 o'clock in about 45 minutes, we're going to have the other bronze medal game on the women's side. So that's going to be Team Canada taking on Germany, a rematch of our opening game of this tournament. We streamed these two on last Saturday, a lifetime ago, it feels like. So it's going to be a fun matchup. We've seen a lot of late tournament surging from Germany. They did really, really well, had a big comeback win on the Netherlands, and really came together as a team later in the tournament. Canada as well, coming up off a really tough loss to Colombia. They lost to them on Wednesday as well. We streamed that game, but just before this, in the semifinal, Canada was climbing back, but unfortunate victim to the clock, lost to Colombia, I believe 14 to 12. So really, really tough loss for them. Unexpected from the world champions to be playing for bronze, but definitely will be a fun game. So stick around for 3 p.m. So Desmarais picking up, quickly goes to the middle. It's Feller. A lot of low passes from Belgium here, but quick enough that the French zone can't really set up. Lots of back and forth here.
Some great movement from France, really moving that zone, moving that cup, getting them to use their legs.
And like we said before, really interesting offensive zone setup from Belgium. 3 players really tight to the disc, making the deep huck not as much of an option and making the defensive backfield, their job a lot easier. It's a lot less scary when you see everyone together that you can contain. Nice grab by Kinda. Throw it into space. Vandenbroek, a little tight, able to fake his way out of it.
And there we can really see the height of Belgium really coming into play. Those fakes, the mark having to bite on those fakes to really shut them down and opening up a lot of throws there.
And the wind is gusting, pushing stuff off our table up here in the booth, making it so much more difficult. Belgium just getting worked back. Nice crossfield shot, gonna open up a lot of options. That's a huge throw. Desmarais in the end zone, but it's gonna float out of bounds. Courtil in the area playing D. But
I like it.
I like it.
I like it. I think that's what they needed to do. I think they got to get it out of their end zone. They were moving in the middle of the field, got pushed back a bit. And Faber just saying, I don't want it near here. I'm getting it all the way over there.
Definitely a good look. I think they have to do that. We've said it a few times now, that huck and pin, get it out of their end zone. You don't want to get trapped in your own end zone and turn it on a swing pass. That is very bad, very difficult. So looks like France is going to call a timeout here. And this is one of the ongoing discussions that we see here and there. The timeout call, what do you feel? There's about 15 minutes left in the game. Are they trying to burn the clock?
You know what? No. I think it's just been a turn. The zone has just worked for quite a few passes, just running across the field back and forth. They need to collect themselves. It's a very different game playing zone D to playing offense against what will likely be a person defense. I think they've got to collect themselves, really decide how they're going to go at this and really secure the win. They are up by 5 points, but they don't want to let go of any lead they have right now. So really want to secure this one.
So France setting up on O here. Looks like we're going to see a similar offensive look that we've seen from them in a few other points. They have one isolated cutter in the middle, couple of cutters on each sideline, and then the disc is going to be at the back with two handlers. But the problem with this look is Belgium really likes to play junky defense, throwing a lot of poaches, and so Belgium is probably going to do a pretty solid job at trying to shut this down. Into the middle. Kurtzil, far side of the field. And that's a huck. It's going up. Lots of players in the area. It's going to float for days. And that is picked up by number 71, Monez. Back to Courtil. He is right on the front cone, or front of the end zone, and out into space, unguarded. Monez gets that huge high grab and gets the point to his name as well.
What an incredible grab that was. I did not think anyone was coming down with that. So many people under the disc there and just snatching it out of the air.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is, one of those jump balls are so hard because they can go either way. We've seen it go Belgium's way quite a few times this game and previous games, but that was a huge grab, and France really has so much momentum here.
Yeah, that's 7 points in a row that France has scored. Really seeing them take away here.
And a spinorama pull. It's going to go up, crash into the ground, and that is going to go all the way to the back of the end zone, but not roll out. That is such a tough spot for this Belgian offensive line to get stuck in. That French zone suffocating, and that's a nice grab, but Desmarais holds on to it. He's looking deep. He's going to grip it and rip it. But unfortunately, that's picked off by 62 on France. That's a nice D. And I believe that is another Monez. There are two on this team. Not sure if they're related. And France putting in all the effort that they can here. That's a layout off a second attempt. France moving well. Again, eat my words. Unfortunate drop. Just a little bit too much wind. Put that throw and made it a bit of a surprise.
It's really interesting. Desmarais, when he's coming up the line, he's really pulling in a lot of those defenders, and I'd love to see them hit that really far around, but
unfortunate. Those quick little dishes. Not enough spin, gets pushed right into the ground. And past a laying out Belgian player. That is number 32, VL. And that's another goal for France. That's rattling off 8 in a row.
That's 8.
So now we have France, they're at 13, Belgium at 6. And this is a really tough game. It's one of those things, you come off from such a high of such a great game, and I had thought that Belgium Belgium would have come out firing even harder. They had such a hard game, but they also just had to work so hard, and that game went all the way to the end. And, you know, it's really tough. Such a long tournament, a lot of running. It's just...
you know, those U.S. men, they really, really worked these Belgians, and in order to stay in that game, they really had to give it their all, and absolutely props to them. Absolutely, I'm sure they have zero regrets about how they played that game, but definitely feeling it in this one. You know, we see a lot of players on the sideline, bandaged ankles, bandaged knees. Playing on this turf really has burnt a lot of elbows, a lot of hips. I think a lot of them are hurting.
Yeah, and we just came off of Worlds as well, out in Cincinnati. We know what it's like. Worlds is exhausting. It's so much time spent playing Ultimate, which we all love doing, but it can be pretty tough. Looks like a little bit of a trip there from number 6 on Belgium, and he's got a smile on his face. Desmarais taking more of a handling role. I'd love to see him going deep. He's so strong in the air. Maheu right on the sideline, and he rips it. Orlovsky, nice attempt. A lot of contact there, no call though. Unfortunately for Orlovsky, the French player just got a little bit better position out in front of him and boxed him out.
This wind really pushing that disc down. I think if it had a bit more float, that would have been Orlovsky's for sure, but that back corner just really making these discs die.
And nice D. That's Vandenbroek picks that off, sitting in the lane. That's that poach that we were talking about. So now Maheu is going to pick it up and rifles it. That's a hard throw to catch, but that's a Belgium back on the board. They really needed that one just for, I think, for team morale here.
Oh, and that had to feel good. You know, that strategy that we've been pestering from up here to just huck it and keep it down where after you've hucked it, it's really finally working out. You know, with a kind of receiver like Orlovsky, you got to take your chances, and that time it ended up working. Hopefully we can see a little more confidence from Belgium coming out on this. You know, they have the athleticism. They do have the heart. I'd love to see some great shutdown defense from Belgium here.
And our first look at the French offensive line in quite some time now. Certainly some of their players playing some of these defensive points, maybe running a little bit in the zone. They might be feeling a little bit tired. So we'll see what they come out with. Definitely interested to see what Belgium throws down, see what they do to try and stop this quick French offense. So gaining a lot of yards on that, fielding the pull. Again, France moving very quickly.
And we are seeing a zone from Belgium, as we have been for the rest of this game.
Very loose this time, though. Giving France a lot of room to move back and forth between their handlers. And a little bit too much zip on that throw from Roger. So Belgium is going to take a chance here. We're going to have Desmarais pick up. Out to Labazuski. Desmarais doing tons of work here. And a nice layout grab. That's 99. And unfortunately, a bit of a ground strip. Great integrity call there. See the players high-fiving each other. Everyone a little bit shocked. We all thought that he had that in his hand.
And you know, Gnomes, even if he did stop rotation, even if he did grab it, if the ground knocks it out of his hand after, it is a turn. So some really great spirit shown by number 99 there.
But now Belgium able to trap the French handler on the sideline. They're going back and forth, throwing it right into the trap. That's a tricky spot. That's Chopin on the sideline.
And these French handlers really, really doing great work in threading the Frisbee through this zone, this kind of loose cup, as you said.
That's Nice. And just out of the hands, a lot of pressure. Belgian defender right in the area. That might have caught his eye a little bit. That's a nice around flick shot to Labazuski on the sideline. And again, a round flick. Lots of players in the area, but it's going to be knocked away by France. High release backhand over the cup. Roger pointing for what he's looking for. Another high release. Not too sure how he's getting these high releases off. He is much shorter than everyone else on the field. Belgium is walking. They're not willing to play defense anymore, and that is such a shame to see. They're absolutely exhausted. And that's France back on the board. They're at 14. This is going to be game point for them.
You know, you kind of got a feel for Belgium there. Worked so hard in that zone, made France throw so many passes. And in a zone, a lot of the time, what you're hoping is after a certain amount of passes, that completion just won't be there. They'll fumble it once, and then you've got your turn. And they got that twice and just were not able to convert. You know, this wind, I think, playing a really big factor in that conversion there. Demarais had some great throws there, but in the hands of other players, it looked a bit wobbly.
And so unfortunate. We saw that huge layout grab by Orlovsky's too, and so sad that it bounced out of his hand a little bit. Everything just going in the way of France and going against Belgium here really feels like a heartbreak, but such a good Cinderella story, such a good sports tale here in Waterloo. Seeing Belgium do so well, being seated quite low in this tournament, able to climb their way out of it. And this is near the end, but maybe not the end yet. They have another chance on O here. We're definitely going to see that zone from France. But Demarais to pick up right on the sideline.
And this wind has really, really picked up in these last couple points. I don't know if you can see their jerseys, but it is gusting at almost, I would say, 40 kilometers an hour.
And here we have Feller back on the field. Haven't seen him in a while. He's going to add some definite star power. Nice grab. That's Vandenbroek.
And Gnomes, in the back, it almost looks like France is playing person.
Absolutely, and I think that's definitely a possibility when these Belgian players are playing so tight to the disc. We see a little bit of poaching, but yeah, you're right. And Belgium gets worked all the way back into their end zone. They were getting close to half here, but able to break free. We're seeing some really nice throws from them, particularly Demarais has great throw control in this wind.
And what a marvel to see from such a young player.
Threads through the cup all the way across to Feller. This French zone definitely looking more tired, a lot looser than we've seen them in points before. Demarais, Bontemps in the area.
Pretty drastic double team coming from France there.
It's a nice throw across, but definitely pretty tight looking zone. And unfortunately, just a little bit too casual, trying to thread it through there. And so now France is going to be on O.
And you know, for France, this is the possibility to end the game here. And for them, also such a Cinderella story. You know, not a perennial powerhouse by any means, but have really given quite a few amazing teams a run for their money. Really speaks to their juniors program and their junior development that they were able to field such an impressive team.
Desmarais not liking what he sees downfield, fakes it off, staying close. Not a lot of options, a lot of walking in the backfield. Players just trying to find something open, but because they're being covered pretty much person to person, it's getting really tough. An unfortunate, oh, there's a foul knocked out of the hands.
I don't know. Looked a bit like a slipped out of the hands kind of disc there. But you got to credit Desmarais. He's pretty good in the air, so.
He's been working so hard, so they're not going to contest this foul. It's going to stay with him. There's not going to be a stall count.
France's zone still just really doing well at preventing many upfield throws from happening. There's been one or two, but.
And that is a big throw. It's out of reach, but I think that's good field position here. Belgium now able to set up a zone of their own, or they can put on person defense, but France is going to have to work it upwind. That's uphill here on this field, so it's going to be so much more difficult for them to go from right to left. But that is a timeout.
And you know I like that call, Gnomes. This is game point. French are tired. French have just done a zone for how many passes that was. As we saw before, it's similar to the last one they took. You know, really need to take that shift in their minds from zone D to some clean O to finish up the game.
Absolutely, and if I'm not mistaken, we are out of time on the clock. So this is going to be game point. For France either way, but I believe even if Belgium able to put one in the bank here, it's going to be game over. And such an amazing show by both teams in this tournament, really fighting through a lot of elements here in Waterloo. The weather has been wild all over the place. We've gone through some weather delays and lots of things, but really a pleasure to see both of these teams fighting so hard in this bronze medal game. And really exciting for both of their programs and what we're going to see down the line.
And, you know, I can't think that you come away from this game thinking any different. You know, we've seen some incredible athletic plays, some really great spirit. The future looks bright. And again, we see from France that's offensive setup that they love to do with two people on either sideline and one cutter centered in the middle. Last time, Belgium choosing to play pretty tight person without their typical poaches in the lanes. I love to see if that gets changed at all, adapted at all.
And here we do see a little bit more sloughed off in the lanes, which I think is a good choice. Shuts down a little bit more space in the open side, but France able to shake free. That's a nice throw. And some good defense by Desmarais, but Courtil gets it. He's been so critical for this French team, both playing offensive and defensive lines. He's been really, really great. And that throw is going to float. Second effort, it's going to go out of bounds. So Belgium is going to have to pick it up on this sideline here. Very difficult spot. We see France already set up in their zone, their hands already in the air. They're going to try and stop any big passes.
And this sideline has not been nice to Belgium this game, so I'd love to see them get it off this line, get it to the other sideline, really get some movement from their handlers like we're seeing right now.
And we're really seeing them being disciplined, trying to move it along the break side all the way across. Even though we're suggesting that they take some shots here, they're doing a good job of following their systems.
We can see Desmarais in the middle of the field directing all his cutters on where he wants them to go without the disc in his hand. Kid's got confidence.
And that throw just has so much behind it. It's going to bounce out of his hands purely from mustard. I don't know how else to describe it. Just a lot behind that throw, trying to muscle it through. Courtsil looking at the end zone, throwing out into space. France on the doorstep here. A lot of confusion, floats it out, and unfortunately going to go out of bounds. That throw, when you open the disc up to the wind like that, it's just going to get pushed way out. So even more unfavorable position. Desmarais right on the sideline, takes his shot. Bontemps in the area, and Courtsil, that's a huge D. France moving laterally. Courtsil in the middle. That's an around throw. Beguin Demey. And into the end zone. Team France under 20 men's. They are your bronze medalists at the World Junior Ultimate Championships. They are celebrating as deserved. That is a decisive 15-7 win for France.
And what a win. You can see it in their faces. They've really earned that win. Really some tough games in their pool, some tough games in leading into this game, and just really worked for it and absolutely deserved that.
Yeah, so impressive. That zone was just stopping anything that Belgium had. And Belgium, credit to them. They worked so hard. They came so far in this tournament. And so kudos to both teams. What a fun game to watch. What a fun game for us here in the booth. Congratulations, France, on your bronze medal. Congratulations to Belgium, finishing fourth, breaking seed here in this tournament. Thank you, everyone who tuned in. Thank you, Cut Camps, for sponsoring this showcase field, along with Universe Point Cleats, VC, and Discraft being the official disc of the World Championships here. So we are going to take a quick break. We have another game starting at 3 p.m. It's going to be the bronze medal game on the women's side. It's going to be Team Canada versus Team France. So stay tuned. We'll see you very soon.